What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your co-host, Donovan Quick, and it's been a little while, but we finally got some major Dolphins news to share with y'all. As you might have seen earlier today, the Dolphins traded both Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith and a 7th round pick in 2027 to the Pittsburgh Steelers in return for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Yes, he's coming back home, and a 2027 5th round pick. Now, we all knew Ramsey was gone, and we kind of had a little inkling in the back of our mind that, yeah, Jonnu might be gone. Hopefully they figure something out. And honestly, look, I get why we traded Jonnu as well, but I'm with most of y'all when I'm like, bro, I still, it just doesn't feel right. So you kind of go down the list a little bit, and you know, Ramsey for Minkah Fitzpatrick, I'm taking the younger guy that is more versatile all day long, especially like they both have their shares of issues, but I feel like when Minkah Fitzpatrick had his issues with the Dolphins in his first tenure here and forced his way out, he didn't exactly become a locker room cancer. He still showed up every day, still worked hard, and still put good things on tape. He did not take anything for granted. So I kind of have that there, whereas Ramsey, you know, he has a little bit of an ego. You know, if he's not all mentally there, sometimes he did look mentally checked out. Kind of like Tyreek did at the end of the season as well. You kind of see those types of players get mentally checked out. And I rather have, once again, the younger, more versatile player, especially when this secondary is as garbage as it is. Now, straight up for those two, I love that trade for us. Then you kind of add in the Jonnu for a fifth, or Jonnu and a 7th for a 5th. And it's not even this next year. It's 2 years down the line. And all it is over money. Like, there was no indication that Jonnu was going to hold out into the season, but he did want more money, and the Dolphins did want to, you know, acknowledge that and give him that money, but they couldn't come to terms on a financial agreement. So they ended up trading him and moving up 2 rounds in the draft in 2 years, ironically enough. And look, once again, I get it. You didn't want to pay him, and what he ended up getting with the Pittsburgh Steelers wasn't really a lot. He got $12 million from the Steelers. However, when you look at it from the wide angle lens and you look at it from afar, you're going to be paying at best your 4th option $12 million. At best, your 4th option. Look, he was our number 2 option last year because Tyreek was playing hurt, Waddle was nowhere to be seen, and Achane was our number 1, basically the number 1 option in the offense. And so I get it, but it's also, it just doesn't feel right because he had such a great season. He had 88 catches for over 800 yards, and he had the 2nd most touchdowns in the NFL as a tight end. Like, it just doesn't feel right. But you look at it, and the Dolphins, once again, kind of being responsible with their money this offseason, and they look at it like, you know what? $12 million, you're our 4th option. We can go and get something that, you know, a 5th round pick, upgrade a little bit. We're probably not going to be super competitive this year. And that's kind of what the theme has been this entire offseason. It's like, look, we're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. We're not. But this team is starting to look a lot younger, with a lot better of a presence in the locker room. And I'm starting to see the tide change a little bit. And Greer and McDaniel should be on the hot seat, but they're not going through this offseason like they are. They're going through this offseason like they're planning for 2026, 2027. which is ironically enough towards the end of Tua's contract with the Dolphins. So basically what that's telling me is that they kind of are on the hot seat, but they're on the hot seat for different reasons. They're on the 2-year hot seat. That basically Stephen Ross was like, look, you guys, you have until the end of Tua's contract to prove to me that this team can compete and win a Super Bowl, because if not, we're moving on from Tua, from you, from McDaniel, everybody. If it's not going to work out, it's not going to work out. We're not going to continue to just play Russian roulette and hope something sticks. You know, the definition of insanity is to keep trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. So what we're doing, basically insanity. So we're trying something different, kind of going into not a whole, whole rebuild, more of a little reset, get a little younger, get a little cheaper. That way, in that time when the cap tends to increase, and you have those young players still in the next 3-4 years, and now you have developed those guys, and now you can bring in the big time free agents, kind of like what we did a few seasons ago when we brought in Jalen Ramsey, when we brought in we had Xavier Howard already, but when we brought in Tyreek Hill, like, that is the kind of thing that it looks like we're trying to reset to do that yet again in the future. Now, how does it look in the locker room? Raheem Mostert kind of he went on Twitter, and I'm going to try to remember the quote word for word. It was, hot take, if you're a Pro Bowler for the Dolphins, that you get treated like shit. And he's like, it is what it is. Go ball. And he was talking to Jonnu and Ramsey. And I think what that really is there is that's not necessarily the coaching. That's upper management. That is Greer. That is the people that are up top talking to the players, telling them, hey, we need you to take a pay cut. Like, look, we had guys take pay cuts this season. We did. We had Bradley Chubb take a massive pay cut. Teron Armstead took a massive pay cut before he ended up retiring. He saved the Dolphins millions of dollars before he retired too, which, honestly, thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Jalen Ramsey, after receiving a 3-year extension just last offseason, did not want to take a pay cut. Tyreek Hill wanted an extension. He wanted more money. He didn't get it. So all of these things going together, it's just like, bro, what are y'all doing with the people that are putting the fans in the stands? What are y'all doing with the players that are actually going to the Pro Bowl? Like, you paid Waddle, you paid Sealer, you paid Tua. Tua did make one Pro Bowl, had the opportunity to go to another, but backed out because of his concussion stuff. But so you have really just those two guys. Tyreek, he's not getting another extension. He was a Pro Bowler. Jonnu was a Pro Bowler. Raheem Mostert, a year after he was a Pro Bowler, they let Achane run wild, and then he lost his job, and now he's cut and on the Raiders. Jalen Ramsey, Pro Bowler. Now he's on the Steelers. Xavier Howard, Pro Bowler, cut. Like, even Christian Wilkins, to a certain extent, he was a fringe Pro Bowler, and we let him walk. So it's just a common theme right now with the Dolphins that they just don't want to pay. And it seems to really just be a last off season and a half kind of thing. Because, yeah, we did give Ramsey that extension last year, but it saved us money last year. It saved us money last year and then kind of just pushed the money down the road. So it is a whole bunch of confusing. It's a whole bunch of just I don't know how to feel. Look, a lot of us were really upset with how Minkah Fitzpatrick forced his way out of Miami. But after that, you kind of realize that Flores was more of a drill sergeant, not much of a, you know, head-to-head players coach. You know, it really took. So Minkah Fitzpatrick, they wanted to use him in the box a lot, kind of like the way we used Brandon Jones a little bit. They wanted to use him in a similar role, like a blitz boy almost. And he's like, I'm not a blitz boy. I'm a safety. I can play back. I want to play back. I don't want to play like a linebacker role. And Flores was like, okay, well then you're shit out of luck. And so when he got to the Steelers, he was like, oh, I'm starting to realize that it's not just, I can't just be the one guy. Sometimes I do need to get up in the box. Sometimes I do need to, put my hand in the dirt and have that more versatile role. So when he had that, then that's when he started, turning things around a little bit, having his, I think he had 5 Pro Bowls, or 3 Pro Bowls in 5 seasons with the Steelers. And he's getting paid a decent amount of money. I believe 15 mil this year, 17 mil next year. It's not like he's making, peanuts, but it's not like he's making, 26 mil like Jalen Ramsey was. So we got to save $10 million a year, basically, starting next year, because we did pay $7 million this year towards his contract. And we get someone that's more versatile to be in our, in our defense and in our secondary, because right now, let's face it, we need versatility that's good, because it does us no good if Ramsey, who's not locked in 24/7, is locking up the one guy on their defense when another guy's getting open down the middle, or another guy is, just butt naked open, or he can't help in the run game. And so it's coming to all of that. And then you'll also kind of realize, okay, well, Minkah is also a few years younger. He's 28, 29, whereas Ramsey was 31, I think. So you get younger, you get cheaper, you get more versatility. And we really struggled last year with our safeties. Like, Holland did not really play that well. And we didn't really have anybody besides him last year. Now we kind of have a somewhat decent safety room. Our cornerback room is now extremely suspect without Jalen Ramsey in there. I still expect us to sign someone at some point, hopefully Asante Samuel Jr. Or Stephon Gilmore. I believe he's still available. Would love one or both of those guys on the Dolphins. But yeah, the Jonnu thing, that really hurt. But it looks like the Dolphins are also looking at other options at tight end across the league. So one of them being Michael Mayer from Las Vegas Raiders. I was going to say Oakland. Forgive me. Las Vegas Raiders. Michael Mayer is an option to be traded to the Dolphins. Kyle Pitts, also another option to be traded to the Dolphins. Don't be overly excited if you hear the next couple names that I'm about to say, Dallas Goedert and Mark Andrews. Those guys, their name isn't necessarily tied to the Dolphins, but the Dolphins have been in contact with multiple teams about tight ends, and over the last few months or so, both of those guys have been named as potential tradable tight ends, being that they're in the last years of their contract. So they could be traded to the Dolphins at some point or another, but I wouldn't expect maybe those guys, because they would probably command more money than if we just kept Jonnu, who I think was a slightly better fit. I think Michael Mayer is a good fit. I think Kyle Pitts is a fantastic fit. Now, look, I'm not going to, Kyle Pitts, he's been neglected by coaching. I think he needs new scenery. Now, I'm not 100% sure, like, oh, this is going to be the guy when he gets here. He's going to be, someone who was, at value a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. I'm not saying he's going to be that guy. I'm just saying I think his versatility between blocking, receiving, his speed, his route running, I think all of that combined to be a fourth option in this offense. It also allows for the versatility of the offense, for him to be in there for run blocking. And so now it's not a dead giveaway that, when Julian Hill is in there, that we're run blocking, or Durham Smythe is in there, that we're run blocking instead of trying to throw a pass play. Because before, if you looked at the ratios before as to what it was with Julian Hill and Durham Smythe on the field as opposed to Jonnu Smith, what our run to pass ratio was, you would lose your minds. You would lose your minds. I don't remember the exact number, but it was over 60% of snaps that that when Julian Hill and or Durham Smythe were on the field, that it was a run play, versus Jonnu on the field, it was a pass play. So having someone like that can be a good blocker for you as well as a good pass catcher, that's going to be very tough to find. But Kyle Pitts might be that guy. Michael Mayer might be that guy. Look out for Cole Kmet. Look out for Mark Andrews. Look out for Dallas Goedert. All of those guys potentially could be in a Dolphins uniform in less than a week. Who knows? Could be all the way until the beginning of the season. We'll see. We'll see. I do expect if the Dolphins do trade for one of those guys, if they're not on their rookie contract, meaning every single one of those guys besides Michael Mayer, I expect an extension to come along with them for a small amount of money. So be on the lookout for that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I know I ranted a little bit, but yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below about this Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Are you happy to have Minkah Fitzpatrick back? Did you keep his jersey while you had it? Deuces.